Hello everyone, today we're going to study lessons 3 and 4 of Unit 3 titled 9 to 5. So at first let's do this quick revision. So rewrite the following sentences. Number 1. The match was cancelled because of the rain. So to call something off is to cancel it. So the sentence is going to be something like this. The match was called off because of the rain. Number 2. The teacher distributed the exam papers. So, to give out is to distribute. So the sentence is, the teacher gave out the exam papers. Number 3. His father spoke to him angrily because of his mistakes. Use tell. So to tell someone off is to speak angrily to them. So the sentence is going to be like this. His father told him off because of his mistakes. So now let's move to this grammar lesson. So today's grammar lesson is titled Defining Relative Clauses. And to understand this more clearly, we have to start with the relative pronouns. So what is a relative pronoun? A relative pronoun is a pronoun that links two sentences together. Here we have some of these relative pronouns. We have who, a relative pronoun that refers to people. We have which, a relative pronoun that refers to objects. And we have where, a relative pronoun that refers to places. And we have whose, a relative pronoun that indicates possession. A possession is something that belongs to someone. Okay, so here we have an example. The hospital where my sister works is enormous. So here is the relative pronoun where, which refers to a place or places. This place is the hospital. And the part of the sentence that comes after it, my sister works is enormous, this is what we call the relative clause. What about defining? What do we mean by defining? By defining we mean that this part of the sentence or the relative clause gives us important information about this noun or this thing or this person we're talking about. Okay, so we use the relative pronouns after a noun to make it clear which person or thing we're talking about. And the part of the sentence that gives the information is what we call the defining relative clause. Another example. Here is the doctor. So we would ask this question. Which doctor? The doctor who helped my grandmother. So here is the relative pronoun who that refers to a person, the doctor. And this part of the sentence that comes after it, we call it the relative clause. It is also called defining because it gives us more information about which doctor we are talking about. He is the doctor who helped my grandmother. So now let's move on and study each one of these relative pronouns separately. Here we have the relative pronoun who. As we said before, this relative pronoun links two sentences together and refers to a person or people. So here is the first example. This is my friend. He scored the goal. So to link these sentences or two sentences together, we have to drop this full stop and we have to drop he, the pronoun he. So the sentence is going to be something like this. This is my friend who scored the goal. Note here that who, the relative pronoun who, is the subject of the relative clause. Who scored the goal. So who is the subject of this part of the sentence, the relative clause. The second example. The man was blind. I saw him yesterday. So we are going to drop this full stop and we are going to drop this object pronoun him. So the sentence is going to be something like this. The man who I saw yesterday was blind. Notice this. Who is the object of the relative clause? Who I saw. I saw who. So in this case we can drop this relative pronoun who. So pay attention to this piece of information. If the relative pronoun is the object of the relative clause, we can drop it. And this is also applied on the relative pronoun which as well. Okay? Let's move on and talk about the relative pronoun which. Okay, as we said before, this relative pronoun is used to refer to objects. Okay, as we did before with who, we're going to do the same with which. So here is the first example. I saw a red car. It was very expensive. So we are going to drop the full stop and we're going to drop the subject pronoun it. So the sentence is going to be, I saw a red car which was very expensive. Notice here that which in this case is the subject of the relative clause, which was very expensive. The second example here, the story was interesting. I read it yesterday. So the story which I read yesterday was interesting. Notice here that which is the object of the relative clause, which I read. I read which. So which here is the object, and as we said before with who, we are going to drop this relative pronoun. Okay, so here is a note. We can use that instead of who or which. So in the first example we can say, this is my friend that scored the goal. In the second example we can say, I saw a red car that was very expensive. The relative pronoun where. We said that we use the relative pronoun where to refer to places. Here is the first example. The hospital is enormous. My sister works there. So, of course, we're going to drop this full stop and we're going to drop there. So, the hospital where my sister works is enormous. So, where refers to this place, hospital. The second example, we stayed at a hotel. It was extremely comfortable. So, the hotel where we stayed was extremely comfortable. The relative pronoun whose. As we said before, we use whose to refer to possessions, something that belongs to someone. So the first example here, I saw a man. His car was stolen. Of course, we're going to drop this full stop and we're going to drop this possessive adjective, his. So the sentence is, I saw a man whose car was stolen. As you can see here, we can see that whose is in between, the owner and the thing that belongs to him. A man, car. The second example, Mrs. Smith is the teacher. Her mom knows my grandmother. So, the sentence is, Mrs. Smith, whose mom knows my grandmother, is the teacher. So now let's do this exercise to make sure that you got it all. Rewrite the following sentences. Number 1. I bought a second-hand car. It broke down 2 weeks later. Use which. So the sentence is going to be something like this. I bought a second-hand car, which broke down 2 weeks later. Number 2. The woman is my neighbor. She works at the post office. Use who. So, the woman who works at the post office is my neighbor. Number 3. Last weekend we visited Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare lived there. So the sentence is going to be like this. Last weekend we visited Stratford, where Shakespeare lived. Number 4. My grandfather has just retired. He was 65 last week. So my grandfather retired when he was 65. We use the relative pronoun when to refer to time. So I can say, This is the day when I was born. Okay, so that's it. Let's move to lesson 4. Now let's start with this quick revision on the previous lesson. Number 1. He left the village. He was born. So the village is a place, so we're going to use the relative pronoun where. Number 2. I met the surgeon, operated on my friend. So the surgeon is a person, so the relative pronoun is who. She applied for a job, had been advertised in the newspaper. So a job is a thing, an object, so we're going to use the relative pronoun which. Number 4. This is the house my father bought. Here this is a place, but we treat it like an object. So we are going to use the relative pronoun which. So this is the house which my father bought. I didn't say this is the house where we live. No, we treated it like an object. Number 5. We had dinner with some friends. House was for sale. So this is the owner of the thing and the thing that belongs to them. So we have house. This is a thing that belongs to these friends. So we are going to use the relative pronoun whose. So we had dinner with some friends whose house was for sale. Number 6. The man car was stolen is a neighbor of ours. It's the same. So it's gonna be the man whose car was stolen is a neighbor of ours. Now let's move on and study these new words here. So the first 7 words, these are adjectives that are used to describe work or a job. Let's start with the first one. Skilled, having or showing skill. So skilled work needs someone who has had special training to do it. For example, nursing is a highly skilled job. Menial, unskilled. So describes work that is boring, that makes you feel tired and is given a low social value. For example, it's menial work such as washing dishes and cleaning floors. Challenging, difficult or hard to do. So it's difficult, but at the same time it's interesting. I can say this has been a challenging time for us all. Stressful. When I say that this job is stressful, I mean that it causes stress. It makes you stressed because you do a lot of things. Rewarding. Giving a reward or satisfaction. Something that makes you happy while doing it. I can say a rewarding job. Monotonous. Boring. So not a changing and therefore boring. So I can say a monotonous job. Essential, necessary or important. So I can say water is essential for living things. Chair meeting. To be the person who controls organized occasions when a number of people are discussing or deciding something. So you're the one in control of this meeting. Like this picture here. This is a picture of someone who is chairing a meeting. Keep up with new technology. To know about the latest developments in technological products and systems. So to keep up is to be able to understand or deal with something that's happening or changing very fast. I can say I read the papers to keep up with what's happening in the outside world. Liaise with a team. to work closely with a group of people, give them regular information about what you're doing and find out what they are doing. So, I can say that to liaise with a team is to cooperate on a matter of mutual concern, trying to work together to get the desired result. So I can say our head office will liaise with the suppliers to ensure delivery. Okay, so assembly line. What do we mean by assembly line? It's a line in a factory where things and products are assembled together. So here is a picture of an assembly line. Okay, let's move on to the next words. Meet the deadline. To have something done or finished by the time or date that has been set. Okay, so it's a time by which something must be done. Something must be done. So here is an example. There is no way I can meet the deadline. Okay, sales figures. It's the sales level. What do you mean by sales figures? It's numbers indicating how many products have been sold in a factory. I can say, okay, so sales figures is the number that shows us or shows the factory how many products have been sold. An illustrator, a job in which someone illustrates or explains something. So an illustrator's job is to draw pictures, especially for books. Redundant, a person without a job because there is no job left for him in a company. So to be made redundant is to lose your job because your employer no longer needs you. I can say, to keep the company alive, half of the workforce is being made redundant. Brainstorm ideas, to suggest a lot of ideas for a future activity very quickly before considering some of them more carefully. So this is exactly like what the teacher would do inside the class. He would write down the title of the lesson and ask the students this question. What do you think this lesson is going to be about? And of course the students would come up with a lot of ideas, and this is what we call brainstorming. So now let's do this exercise to make sure that you got it all. Number 1. Soldiers wear clothes. So the answer is special clothes. Something that is made especially for soldiers. Number 2. The film incidents are very slow. It is, of course, it is monotonous. Something that's boring. Something that doesn't change. Number 3. He immediately accepted the job as its salary is rewarding. Something that makes you happy. Number 4. He is a good sales assistant. He is skilled at dealing customers, so dealing with. Number 5. Expert teachers use ideas to convey their message. So use brainstorm ideas to convey their message. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you understand this lesson. Goodbye. So now let's do this exercise on lesson 3 and 4. Okay, choose the correct answer. Number 1. He left the village. He was poor. So he left the village where he was born. So the village is a place. Number 2. I met the surgeon. Operated on my friend. So the surgeon is a person, so the relative pronoun is who. So I met the surgeon who operated on my friend. Number 3. An orphanage is a place orphans lived. So a place where orphans live. Number 4. This is the house my father bought. The house is a place, but we treated it like an object, so we are going to choose the relative pronoun which. So this is the house which my father bought. Number 5. We had dinner with Aya. House was for sale. So whose house was for sale? Number 6. A rucksack is a bag you wear on your back. So is a bag which you wear on your back. Number 7. A surgery is a doctor sees their patients. So here a surgery is a place. So we are going to use the relative pronoun where. Number 8. The man car was stolen is a neighbor of ours. So the man whose car was stolen. Number 9. A plumber is a person. Job is to fix pipes. So a person whose job is to fix pipes. Number 10. A building site is a place houses are built. So is a place where houses are built. 11. A shoplifter is a person steals from shops. So is a person who steals from shops. 12. A successful writer is a person books are published. So whose books are published? 13. A comedy is a film makes you laugh. Which makes you laugh? 14. The vehicle is used on farms is called a tractor. So the vehicle which. Rewrite the following sentences using the words in brackets with giving the same meaning. Number 1. I bought a second-hand car. It broke down 2 weeks later. So it's going to be something like this. I bought a second-hand car which broke down 2 weeks later. Number 2. The woman is my neighbor. She works at the post office. So the woman who works at the post office is my neighbor. Number 3. A hospital is a place which ill people go there. So a hospital is a place where ill people go. Number 4. That is the girl. Her mother is a dentist. So that is a girl whose mother is a dentist. Number 5. I love July. We enjoyed the Red Sea in Sharm el-Sheikh there or then. So it would be something like this. I love July when we enjoy the Red Sea in Sharm el-Sheikh. So now let's do this exercise on lesson 4. Number 1. My uncle is a mechanic. He a lot of money. So I want to say that he gets a lot of money out of his job. So earns. So my uncle is a mechanic. He earns a lot of money. Number 2. The film incidents are very slow. It is monotonous. Something that's not changing. Something that's boring. Number 3. He immediately accepted the job as the salary was rewarding. Something that would satisfy you. Number 4. He is a good assistant. He is skilled dealing with customers. So skilled at dealing with customers. Number 5. Expert teachers use ideas to convey their message. So use brainstorm ideas. Number 6. The IT specialist uploads data and keeps with new technology. So keeps up with. So to keep up with something is to know the latest information about something. Number 7. The manager in our company is the person who always the meetings. So chairs the meetings. He is the one in control. He is the boss. Number 8. I have to with a team of experts in order to find a solution to this financial problem. So I have to work with, to liaise. Number 9. One of the solicitor's requirements is to contracts. So is to draw up contract. So what do you mean by draw up? A contract is to carefully think about something, or it is the careful planning of something. Number 10. A factory worker works on our end line, so on assembly line. 11. A call center operator deals customers, so deals with customers. Number 12. You must deadlines these files before Thursday, so you must meet deadlines these files before Thursday. Okay, rewrite the following sentences using the words in brackets to give the same meaning. Number 1. I must deal with a group of people to finish the project on time. So the meaning of this word liaise is to work with. So the sentence is going to be something like this. I must deal with a group of people to finish the project on time. So I must liaise with a group of people to finish the project on time. Number 2. His job is to work with machines in the factory. Operate machinery. So to operate machinery is to have control on a machine, to start a machine. So the sentence is going to be something like this. His job is to operate machinery in the factory. Number 3. Developing countries should be aware of the new technology. So the sentence is going to be developing countries should keep up with the new technology. Number 4. He is the only one who can control what should be done. So use chairs. Chairs the meeting. So he is the only one who chairs the meeting. Number 5. Our job is to write about the sales levels in the company. So it's going to be something like this. Our job is to report on sales figures in the company. So that's it for today. I hope you understand this lesson. Goodbye.